No, look, I have a headache, and I mean, I've been working out. I'm sore, and
Forget about it.
but it's a messy act, and what the heck?
Great.
Hello, everybody. I'm John,
I'm Justin.
and we're
The Gore
Gore Goblins.
Yeah, he's
This is-
extending the intro again
This is our show.
without telling me.
This is
Yeah.
our show
Is it?
where we talk about horror movies that we like
And don't or
and,
never
and-
seen.
and some that we've never seen. Exactly.
Yeah.
See, Justin gets it.
We get it.
We do all that.
And
And-
then talk about whatever other random shit that we want to talk about, regardless of if you want to hear about it or not.
Yeah. Exactly.
You're here for something, aren't you?
That's all true. This is all true. It's funny because we're covering it's Friday the 13th, part 6. Jason Lives today. And it's funny because I was watching a video by Red Letter Media about specifically part 4 and 6 of Friday the 13th. And he was playing a clip of Roger Ebert, or they played a clip of Roger Ebert talking shit about the movies and saying that, you know, they're so cynical and they're just trash that are full of, you know, sex and violence, and then he said something like it gives teenagers a cynical worldview where you know you could have your whole life planned out. There's no point in it though, because one day you could just die, and the whole time he's talking, they just keep flashing "this is true" under everything he's saying, and then this is all true at the very end, because you don't need a fucking movie to tell you that life is cruel. And that life will fuck you with whatever it wants to. You know how many people die of cancer in their 20s? I'm pretty sure life is just generally not good for a lot of people. I don't think a movie is going to change that. Anyway, I just thought that was funny. Go watch Red Letter Media. They're good. They're a good time. They're just dudes that talk about movies. I love them. And they talk about a bunch of different movies.
Yeah, but you can get that from us.
Not just horror.
You don't need to go
If
to
you
them.
want specifically horror, and you want it to be of less quality than of lesser quality, then you got us, baby. You got us as we talk about.
Hey, we're not less quality. we represent the little guys.
The little guys. Exactly.
Yeah,
There.
I couldn't get
There.
the word out.
There. Yeah, you know what? That's why we're here. Anyway, so Jason Lives. After part 5 fucking was a financial success, but after it was a critical failure, Paramount was like, all right, we're going to keep this going, whether we want to or not, because it makes us money. So, because of that, we got to bring Jason back. So let's do it. Let's bring him back. How are we going to do it? We don't know. Apparently, like, the actors for Tommy, the girl, I don't remember who the fuck the final girl in giant air quotes.
Megan.
No, that's in this one. I'm talking about 5.
Oh,
Because whoever the final girl, she was also blonde though, I should stress, but she was in part 5. She signed on for 2 movies, and so did Reggie, the little black kid. They all signed on for 2 movies. And then that didn't happen because Paramount was like, wow, people really hated this movie. Let's just bring Jason back. So, you know, much like what they did with Michael Myers in '88, 2 years later, they decided to do the same thing with Jason and just bring him back. Except with Michael, it's a continuation. Well, I guess it's a continuation either way. But like Friday the 13th's continuity is fucking all over the place.
yeah.
It's a little less clear cut. And in this one, they just resurrect Jason as if he's Frankenstein's monster, which I think is one of the direct references that the director, Tom McLaughlin, wanted to make. He wanted to make this movie feel like a Universal like Pictures horror movie, like, you know, your Draculas, your creatures from the Black Lagoon, your mummies, your Hollow Man. Oh, God, what a movie! Your Invisible Men, your Wolfmen, all of them.
It just felt like Friday the 13th to me.
See,
I don't know
yeah,
what the fuck he's talking about.
see, it does, but it also doesn't because you have the fog at night. That's a very like classic horror movie thing. You have a villain that's unstoppable and supernatural. And then you have that villain also getting created by lightning. You have him being intimidating without having to run, because Jason runs in every other movie.
I mean, he was kind of
not in
running
this one,
in this
though.
one.
Yeah, he was speed walking.
Yeah.
He was speed walking. He was definitely not running. He was speed walking. 'Cause if you watch the other ones, he's like, he's running around with his big ass shoulders and shit. And in this one, he's like, I'm just gonna walk. He's like, you can't stop me. You can't stop me at all. I'm Jason. And I think this is the Jason that like people think of when they think about Friday the 13th. It's not part 2. I hope it's not part 3. Maybe part 4. But I feel like this is what solidified like zombie Jason, the type of Jason that we all know and love, the one that was in Mortal Kombat 10. Like this is that Jason. Not played by Kane Hodder yet. Not yet, but he was played by an ex-soldier, I believe. What was his name? C.J. Graham, I think is who it was.
C.J. Graham.
Yeah, C.J. Graham. And I think he's the second tallest person to play Jason, which is kind of cool. But yeah, and Tom McLaughlin was talking about how, like, yeah, it was really easy to work with him because I would tell him what to do, and he would just do it as if he was still in the Army, and he's like, it worked out pretty well. Sometimes to greater effect than expected, like you know that part where they're in the buggy in the little like Volkswagen, right?
Yeah.
At the beginning of the movie, the two counselors, the two counselors,
Yeah,
the two counselors that are driving to what was it called? Forest Green,
something like that.
Forest Green.
It's still Crystal Lake.
I was gonna say Evergreen, but that's Old Boy. That's completely different. But Forest Green, and the woman driving is Tom McLaughlin's wife. And there's that bit where Jason has that spear, that wrought iron spear, or whatever the fuck it is, and he crashes it through the windshield. So the direction that Tom McLaughlin gave to C.J. Graham was, okay, aim for the seat, and then she's going to duck away and, whatever. But what ended up happening was that I guess C.J. Graham was trained a little too well in the Army, because what he did instead was he followed her with the spear, and like if you watch that scene, he breaks the window and then like tries to angle it at her, and Tom McLaughlin was like, I mean, it's a good shot. He's like, but at what cost, He's like, it barely missed her. And I'm like, oh my God, that's actually horrifying. And it was a real spear too. It was a real like sharpened weapon. His wife could have fucking died on set. And that's what I was talking about the other day. I don't remember if it was on the podcast or not, about like how it was just different in the 80s. Like, the way you made movies in the 80s was completely fucking different than how you make movies now. Where you could just die, and that's all for art, baby. Or money, one of the two. In this case, money. But Tom McLaughlin also wanted to just, like, bring a different tone altogether to this one, which I think he succeeded. Because it definitely feels very tonally different right from the get-go, not just with how it doesn't waste any time with Jason. With Jason getting resurrected because Tommy decides to have PTSD, but then also with that fucking James Bond gag where he looks at the camera and slashes it. Isn't that cool, Justin?
It was cool.
What a timely reference, huh?
Yeah.
And that's not the only bit of meta humor, though. There's a couple lines in here. There's the aforementioned counselor that's like, "Oh, I've seen enough horror movies to know that a guy with a mask is is up to no good." And then there's that part where Martin, I believe, is the name of the groundskeeper of the motherfucking cemetery. I believe it was Marty.
I think so.
Martin, whatever. He was like putting all the dirt back on Jason's grave, and he's like, I can't believe they went and dug up Jason again. And then he looks right at the camera and says, some people have a really funny idea of entertainment or of what entertainment is or something like that, which is basically him saying, hey, y'all are all fucking sick freaks for liking this shit. And he's right. But that was also when Kevin Williamson, years later, Kevin Williamson's the writer for Scream, when he met Tom McLaughlin, he told Tom McLaughlin, hey, your script for Friday Part 6 was a huge influence on me in Scream as far as like laughing at the genre and laughing at yourself. 'Cause there was one rule though, you can't make fun of the killer. So Tom McLaughlin could do whatever he wanted, but he could not make fun of Jason. He could not, which I think worked out for the better because Jason is like this mythological creature where he's just like a legend that's known throughout Crystal Lake, and I think that's really cool. I like that a lot. It kind of adds to his mystique, if you will. But yeah, because in Scream they don't give a fuck. Ghostface gets his ass kicked constantly, and I love it. Oh my god! And all of them except Part 4, I think, because Part 4 is weird because it's like oddly, it takes itself more serious than the rest of the franchise, I think, and Ghostface is just like he's not as much of a bumbling idiot. But in all the other ones though, he just gets his shit kicked in, and he's like, I'm still going. So it's fun. I love Scream. Can't wait to talk about
pain.
it. But yeah, I really like. I guess needless to say, I like this one quite a bit. My cat's sneezing again. You know how it is. I'm gonna take him to the vet one of these days, because he'll have days where he's like not sneezing, and then he'll have days where he's just sneezing. I don't understand. Maybe he's got a cold. I don't know. He's had a cold for a while now, but he can't help himself. But I'm gonna let him sneeze. I'm gonna let him sneeze himself out.
2 hours later.
He's getting to it. He's getting to it. He's all right. He's just got to sneeze it out. I honestly don't know what's wrong with him. Like,
she's probably just congested.
But like for like 2 months, like
I don't know. Maybe.
Like I asked Mom if she's ever had this with a cat, and she's like, no. She's like, I have no idea. And it's not like he's still eating, he's still drinking, he's still using the bathroom fine. He just sneezes every now and then. He goes into little fits of sneezing rage. What a good cat.
Yeah.
Needless to say, though, I like Part 6. I still think Part 2. It still has like a little. That's still like my favorite. I think, just because I don't know. I really like Part 2 for some reason. I don't know why. I'm sure when I'll rewatch these, it'll change. But I like Part 2 still. But it's up there with Part 4 and 6. Or it's up. 2 is up there with Part 4 and 6. I feel like they're all kind of equal, and they all have like different pros and cons that kind of like keep them all on the same level, I guess. For me personally, I don't know. It's hard to explain, but that's how like my head kind of figures it. Also, I really like the final girl in Part 2.
True.
I think she's probably, outside of Alice, who, if I'm being honest, doesn't have a lot to do in the first movie. Outside of Alice, I think she's probably the best one so far. Because in this one, we don't have a final girl. We got Tommy Jarvis, played by a different person again.
Yep.
But before we go into that, how do you feel about Jason Lives, Justin?
It's been the most fun watch so far for me.
It is a lot of fun. It is probably the most fun one. Yes, I would agree with that. I would agree with that for sure.
Yeah, as far as all the ones we watched so far, this is the best one to me. And then number 4.
It's
and
very
then
good.
2 and 1.
And 3 and 5 don't get a ranking.
Yeah, fuck 3 and 5. No.
But yeah, I really
This one is just what 5
really like it.
should have been.
Yeah, I mean, but that's the weird thing is that 5 has that bit where Jason comes out of the grave, and like that's kind of like what they were implying, but they didn't go that route. But I will say they really fucking Jason's mythology as a character is really fucking screwy because he died in the first. He was dead in the first one, and that's why Pamela Voorhees was like, "Hey, I hate kids, especially when they're fucking." And then in the second one, I guess he wasn't actually dead, which I think was the implication at the end of the first movie, but he wasn't actually dead, and instead he grew up and watched his mom get decapitated, which is why he went and killed Alice. And then, but like he's been dead like fucking twice already. He died at the end of 3. He debatably died at the end of 2, but he definitely died at the end of 3. He definitely died at the end of 4. So like he was already kind of this like unstoppable thing much like Michael Myers. But I don't know. I guess it was just never like officially like tightened up. You know what I mean? As far as his lore.
Yeah.
And in this movie, I feel like they're like, all right, well, fuck all that because he's just a zombie now. He's just
Zombie.
But like that's the thing is like Tom McLaughlin also mentioned that he wanted the kills to be something that could only be done by like an insanely like strong supernatural force. But like he was already popping dudes' heads in fucking 3 and 4.
Yeah.
Like he was already a supernatural. Like that's the thing is like I've never considered Jason to be a human. He's always been like something more than that. Same thing with Michael Myers, but I mean at the end of the first Halloween, it's more of like a suggestion that he's not a human, like that he's more than just a regular man because he survives getting shot 6 times and then the fall, obviously, and then they kind of add on to that in sequels. And you whatever, we already talked about it, but I kind of like that subtlety in Halloween. But I also really like the kind of like no holds barred, like, yeah, we're in fucking Looney Town now kind of attitude of this one in particular, where it's just like, hey, yeah, Jason's just going to fucking do Kano's fatality on Haas real quick. Hope you like that. And that was really funny. I think when I saw that, I was like, oh, okay, it's going to be like that, huh? I was like, awesome. And the whole movie kind of keeps that energy. But yeah, so Tommy Jarvis, I mentioned him earlier. He's in this.
Actually doing something this time.
And he's played by, what's his name?
That guy.
It's Tom something. He's from Return of the Living Dead. Tom Matthews. I was going to say Tom Morgan, and I don't know who that is, and I'm afraid that somebody's going to figure out who it is and then, like, tell me that they're, like, a terrible person or something. I don't know. But yeah, it's Tom Matthews, who I think is the most recognizable Tommy actor outside of Corey Feldman, I guess. And he's the Tommy that has appeared in a couple of fan films, I believe, as Tommy, like as just an older Tommy, because Paramount's not doing fucking shit with the franchise, so I don't even fucking know who has the rights anymore. But either way, we're not. There hasn't been any Friday 13th in, 14 years?
A long time.
14 years. It's been 14 years since the last Friday the 13th movie, which was the reboot. What a way to end it. I guess at least we're getting that Peacock show that Adrienne King is going to be in, and it's being written by what's his name? He did Hannibal. I know I'm going to remember it later, and I'm going to be mad. Is it Brian something? It's Brian something. I believe his last name starts with an L. But I don't know. Either way, he's fucking writing it.
But what the fuck is it gonna be?
Who knows?
Like, is it just gonna be another retelling, or are we just gonna get Jason fucking shit up? Is Jason even gonna be in it?
Jason's probably not gonna be in it. At least not with his hockey mask. I doubt it. But yeah, well, I guess whenever that comes out, we'll check it out and see. But in the meantime, yeah, you got Tom Matthews as Tommy Jarvis, and he's trying to go make sure Jason's dead. And it's funny because in part 5 they said Jason was cremated, and I guess he wasn't. So he is a maggot-filled corpse.
Yep.
He is DEAD dead.
He's embracing his true Slipknot fan inside of him.
And stop it. And he gets resurrected by Tommy because Tommy has PTSD, and he decides to stab Jason with part of a wrought iron fence, and then he just leaves it in there, and then lightning strikes the rod.
Yeah, convenient lightning is convenient.
And resurrects Jason Voorhees, and he's like, "Oh, I'm back," and he just kind of stands there, and I kind of like how intimidating he is, just because I don't know, he's just so cool. I really like him in this movie in particular. Yeah. He's so cool. He's so, like, intimidating and just, like, unsettling. Because he could have just, like, murdered Tommy right then and there, but he just stood there and just looked at him. And he was just like, yeah, I know who you are, I think. And then, he went from there. Anyway, yeah, Tommy, it's the usual shit. Tommy goes and tries to warn people about it.
Like, no, stop spreading that.
And Sheriff Garris was like, actually, Jason's dead, you fucking idiot.
He's just a legend. He's not real.
You fucking fart head. What a name too, fart
And I
head.
guess at this point, the parents of the Crystal Lake or whatever the fuck it's called now have stopped telling their kids that Jason was a real person.
Oh yeah, because it's mentioned that they changed the name of Crystal Lake to Forest Green or whatever the fuck, because they didn't like the negative. They wanted to forget it.
Yeah.
Which it's fair, I guess. I don't know. I wonder how long I guess he's been dead for a while since Tommy's an adult now, but yeah, you know. So I guess part 5 just didn't happen because that it would have been easy for Garrus to bring up like, hey, didn't you like fucking go crazy in that house and like almost kill somebody? But I think in the game Friday the 13th, Adam Green himself, the dude that made Hatchet and the other Frozen, he wrote like, I think they were called like the Tommy tapes or some shit, and like apparently that last sequence from part 5 was a dream that Tommy had or whatever. It still doesn't really, you know, part 5 doesn't exist is my point. That's like this movie doesn't fucking act like it, and any effort to like make it recognized is kind of silly, I think.
I don't think there was any effort made at all to
No,
recognize it.
absolutely not.
Which, who cares?
But it's funny because like I recently watched Child's Play 1 through 3 because I got all the Shout Factory 4Ks, and I've been burning through them. And that whole movie, it's this, those all 3 of them. Well, the first 2, not so much the third one. It's just Andy going around saying like, "Hey, this doll is fucking real, and he's gonna kill people." And everybody's like, "No," and then you know they die. Like that's just what happens, and that's exactly what happens in this movie. And I thought it was funny how similar they were in that respect, where it's just, oh yeah, I guess maybe we should listen to people. I don't know, especially well in Child's Play 1 and 2. I guess it's more about listening to kids, but in this one, it's more about maybe you should listen to people that I don't know have been through trauma. Maybe that's the idea. And Corey Feldman, I mean, Tommy Jarvis is definitely, I mean, both, if we're being honest, both have very much been through trauma in real life and in fiction. So it's like, you know, maybe you should just listen to people. I don't know. That'd be cool if we did that. But, yeah, nobody believes Tommy. And then I believe the rest of the camp counselors show up the next day. And this is after the other 2 camp counselors get murdered the night that Jason's resurrected, because they're driving up and then, you know, one of them gets speared and like tossed behind Jason. And then the other one tries to bribe Jason away with money. And Jason's like, I don't know what that is. And then Jason just kills her. And I'm just like, what do you think is like, 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 come on, just run. Like, well, I guess she was stuck, but like, I don't know. I wouldn't have offered him money. I would have just been like, oh, I guess I'm dead. I don't know.
What if he would have taken it, though?
I would have said a little prayer and fucking, you know, accepted it. What would Jason do with, what do you think Jason Voorhees would do with money? Like, realistically, do you think he'd
buy
just,
another machete? I don't know.
He'd probably, yeah, like, right, he'd probably just go to the hardware store.
Get himself a new jumpsuit. I mean,
he's like, yeah, this one kind of smells.
He just got resurrected.
Does he still have a sense of smell? That's a good question. Who knows? We'll find out.
I mean, he
for
feels.
You. I'll smell Jason. I'll find him and I'll smell him for you. But anyway.
You just fucking rot. As soon
Yeah.
as you walk near him.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So then, you know, Jason's. One thing I like about this movie too is that Jason is like always moving. Like you like there are just like scenes of exposition that are just intercut with him just moving.
You don't have to figure out how he got there.
And yeah, and that's the other thing
how
too.
He got there.
Another thing I like about this one over the other ones is it doesn't pretend that it's not him. It's just him. Like, you know, part 2.
They got to make sure you remember he's in this one now.
Yeah.
He's back. Don't worry.
Because like that's what pissed me off about part 3 is there were all those POV kills, and I'm like, we know it's Jason though. Like, what are you doing? And then, you know, part 5 sucks, so whatever. But like part 6, yeah, and I just like that he's like a fucking predator. Like he's just constantly moving, constantly on the hunt. And I think that's really cool. I really like that because it makes you. it's like he's always in the back of your head. Like he's always in the back of your mind, just like, oh fuck, but Jason's around. And I guess it kind of like mirrors how Tommy feels, where he's like, I know he's out there somewhere. I know, he's finding somebody to kill. And I think that's neat. I really like that. That's good editing. But yeah, these other camp counselors show up. We got Rip Jeans Man. I think his name is Court.
Yeah, Court.
And I remember that because it's fucking weird. And then you have and then you have the redhead and the black girl, and then Megan, right?
Yeah.
Megan. Yeah, you got Megan. So
Who's the sheriff's daughter?
Who is the sheriff's daughter? And when they cast her, I think the producers told Tom McLaughlin she has to be an attractive blonde, and she is. And then she stopped acting after this movie. she like retired for some reason. I think she was in the original V TV show in the 80s. And then she was in this, and then she was like, I'm out. And that was it. And I don't even think it's because she had a bad experience. I think she just didn't want to act anymore. Funny enough, the guy that played Tommy in Part 5 was asked to come back, and he kind of liked the script, and since he was, like, Christian, he liked that there were references to, like, God and, like, praying and shit, but then he decided to do another movie instead, and then he quit to go to the seminary. So he just stopped acting altogether because he likes God, I guess. Good for him. I mean, if it works, it works, but couldn't be me. But I would have been like, oh yeah, I'll be in this. I don't give a fuck. Cool. So yeah, they show up, and then Megan's like, I don't know where my friends are, and Tommy's like, oh, I'll fucking tell you where they are.
Jason
And
got
he's
him.
sounding like fucking Crazy Ralph from the first two movies. Like, you don't know, you don't get it.
He's the prophet now.
Yeah, and then I mean he is kind of, and then and then they go to the camp, they get things ready, and then a bunch of kids show up, which I did not expect. I did not expect children in this movie, but they all show up, and there's that really funny scene transition where like Martin's in the same bit where he's filling up Jason's grave again. And he's like muttering to himself, and he's like, what do they think I am, some kind of fart head? And then it's just that cut to all the kids going, yeah! And I just think that's really funny. I think that's a really funny scene transition. And then, these camp counselors are terrible with kids. We do have a really funny moment where Court is trying to educate all the boys on, like, Native American, I guess, customs. And you can tell he does not give a fuck about what he's talking about.
Or know what he's talking about.
And he doesn't know either. And he's just kind of like, yeah, so, they did this. They did that, okay? And he's, like, kind of, like, smacking on gum the whole time. And I'm like, this is pretty good. This is pretty funny. And then the other kid, there's that one snarky kid that's like, oh, man, if this is what the rest of the camp experience is going to be like, we're going to be so bored or whatever. He says something snarky. I don't remember the exact line. I remember his lines later in the movie more. But can't remember that one. I remember I kind of chuckled though. But anyway, yeah. So we have a smaller number of counselors this time around, which is better than the last movie where there was like 50 fucking characters, and all of them died pretty much. But it's a small. It feels more. I think that's what helps the film feel tighter, and like more, I guess, cohesive. Is because you don't have to worry about so many different characters, and all the characters are like actually kind of good. Like I think this is the first time I've liked characters in a Friday the 13th movie since like Part 2, at least all of them pretty much, because I like Garrus. I like his stupid ass fucking deputy that has that revolver with the laser sight. I like the counselors, like I was like, oh, it's all right, it's doing all right. Anyway, yeah, Jason kills Martin. There's that bit where Martin's like, you're going to be the death of me, whatever he named his bottle, his alcohol. And then Jason's like, I bet. And then he grabs the bottle, breaks it, and just stabs him in the throat. And then there's like a newlywed couple, I guess. Or like, they're just a couple. I don't know if they were like newlywed or they were like recently engaged. Either way, they're about to have sex, and Jason isn't aware. He's too busy, hacking up Martin. But I forgot about the paintball.
Yeah,
the paintball shit.
People.
I remember. So that part feels out of place
It's like the part in Halloween 5 where the cops walk out and you hear the clown music.
That's exactly how that whole scene feels. You know what's funny is a different Jason played, or it was a different stuntman played Jason in that sequence, and he was apparently fat, so everybody called him Bitch Tits Voorhees, which I think is mean. First of all, second of all, that's the only scene that he's in because he got recast. But yeah, he was. Jason's just walking around the woods, and they're all playing paintball. Jason grabs that one dude and fucking throws him. He rips his arm off. My man hits a smiley face on a tree, but first you get the shot of him hitting the tree, and his fucking headband says dead, and I think that's hilarious. And then his face just kind of comes off the smiley face. It's just blood all over it. And then Jason kind of looks at the arm, and he's like, oh, all right. And then he decapitates 3 of the paintball players at once. And then he just fucking, I guess, just rips apart the last dude. Like, because I think they just find his body parts later.
Yeah.
Like, they find his arm and his leg. And I'm like, what the fuck did he do to him? Oh, my God. Like,
He got hungry.
Yeah, right? Imagine if they had said that shit. Oh, it looks like he got hungry. Who? Who got hungry? Tommy? Because that's who they thought was killing him at first. Also, that's the other thing. Hey, George, don't throw up. Don't throw up, George. Come on. Look at what you're doing, buddy. You're ruining the show. Come here.
He's not ruining it.
Well, he's yeah, I'm pretty sure he's congested. Forgive my cat, but it's funny that Garrus is like, "Oh, it's got to be Tommy," but like these deaths are like brutal. And it's like, how could like a normal human do this? Like, why would you think it's Tommy? And the whole time Garrus is like, hey, Tommy really wants us to think that Jason Voorhees is back. Because he is, dude. What do you, like, you're stupid. Oh, my God. But yeah, he kills that couple. He, like, stabs them through the stomach when they're trying to get away on a bike or a motorcycle. And then, Jason starts moving again.
On the road again.
And yeah, sure. And then there's that part where they're all at the camp and Court like runs off to fuck some 80s girl. So and like I like that part because you see the RV shaking, and I like that shot of Jason just coming into view and looking at it. And I'm just like, yeah, that's right, Jason. You don't like that, do you? And then they're fucking or whatever. And there's that part where the girl's like, oh, you got to last until the end of the song. And then he's like, oh, it's almost over, right? She's like, just 10 more minutes. And then he just kind of makes this face like, oh, no. And I was like, that's so good. That's like oddly relatable. I don't like that. I don't like that how relatable that is. But, then Jason cuts the power, and then they're just kind of like, well, let's get out of here. At first, they try and find out what happened, and then Court finds the frayed wire, and he's like, let's get the fuck out of here.
Before
so then
we end up like this.
Yeah, or we'll end up like this. Yeah, and then...
Like, yeah, that's descriptive.
and then they go back inside, and, Jason is hiding in the bathroom. But not before Court is driving the RV, and he's really loves driving that RV. It cuts to him on like 5 or 6 separate occasions, just being like, "This is really nice. This is great. This is really great. Oh, sounds great. Love this. This is great. Yeah, it's really great." Meanwhile, his fucking girlfriend's getting her face pushed through a mirror, and it like bends the fucking steel. And I'm like, well, that's a memorable image. And then, he walks out and stabs him in the ear because he's listening to Alice Cooper. And he's like, I don't like this. And he stabs him in the ear. And then we get this RV flip, which is funny because it was the last thing that was filmed. And it was filmed the last because they didn't want CJ Graham to get hurt. But the thing is why the fuck was he in the RV? Like, he wasn't driving it. And it's not like you see Jason tumbling. He doesn't show up until he pops out afterwards. And there's that really cool shot of him standing on the RV.
Yeah.
And it's like on fire and shit, and there's all that fog around him. But like, Why was CJ Graham in the RV? Every piece of trivia about this is like there was no need for him to be in there. Why was he in there? Like what was he doing in there? Was he the one driving it? I guess, but like, what the fuck? Anyway, yeah, we get that cool scene, and then he goes to the camp eventually. And meanwhile, you get Megan and Tommy trying to. Tommy tries to, he buys like a bunch of books about like the occult and shit to figure out, or I guess about zombies, and then he's got one about the occult to figure out how to finish Jason off once and for all. And then like he calls Megan from Karloff's General Merchandise, which is an obvious nod to Boris Karloff, but
Is it obvious? 'Cause
yes,
it wasn't to me.
well, that's because you're not cultured, Justin. Anyway,
Oh, okay.
so anyway, he calls her and she's like, "I'll be there in a little bit," and then she picks him up, and then there's that part where he's got her head in his lap, or he's got his head in her lap, and he like keeps staring at her pussy through her jeans, of course. And then like there's a part where like she's like running from the cops, and then like Tommy's head is moving back and forth, and she's like, that's what I wanted, and I'm like, what do you mean? Like what did you want? Like what did you want out of this? What are you talking about? Maybe this is why I'm still single. Maybe I just don't know what women want anymore. Oh, this was 30 years ago, but you know what I mean. Well, almost 40 years ago now, but you know what I mean. I don't know. I just thought that part was kind of funny. And then Tommy gets thrown in jail, and Garrus is like, "Hey, just fucking watch my daughter, deputy, whatever." And then he's like, "All right." And then they devise a plan to get the keys and go hunt down Jason. Tommy takes the opportunity. Tommy takes the opportunity to start making out with Megan. Good for him. We love to see a white boy winning. And then and then they're able to get the keys, and they fuck off, and because Tommy's like, we got to take Jason back to where it all began, in the lake where he first died. So this is where it became fishy to me, because I'm like, okay, so then he's always been a zombie, because if he first died in that lake, then but because then if it was truly his final resting place, it would have been in the fucking Jarvis house, his home. Which I think still would have been, or that at least that cabin, which I think still would have been interesting for him to like. That could have been a good setup for him to go back to where it all started, and like kind of experience that as a character.
Yeah.
But it's also really cool that how it ends now. I like the ending. So, meanwhile, you get one of the girls gets her head twisted off.
Yeah, Jason's just killing the rest of the people now.
Yeah, the other one gets hacked apart, but you don't see it. And then he like crushes a deputy's head. He folds Sheriff Garrus in half,
as he deserved.
Which is it was a cool effect too. But Garrus went out trying to protect his daughter, which is always commendable. That was the most commendable thing he did in the film once he realized that Tommy wasn't full of shit. Because he tries to shoot Jason like a bunch, and Jason's just like, this isn't doing shit, brother. I don't know what you think you're gonna accomplish. I'm gonna kill you. And then Jason just folds him in half, and then eventually Tommy leads him. So like Megan and Tommy work together to lead Jason to the lake. At one point, Jason goes into where all the kids are sleeping, and he almost kills Nancy, but he doesn't. And then there's that really cool shot where that redheaded girl, or whatever the fuck, dark brown, I don't know what color her hair is, she's walking away, or like she's walking in her cabin or something, and you see Jason behind her through the window, and he's like mirroring her, and I'm like, that's really cool.
Oh, yeah.
That's a good shot. There's also that shot where she's talking to Nancy about like, if you just close your eyes and pray, it'll go away, and then the camera cuts back up and Jason's just fucking standing there, and I'm just like, see, that's good. That's what I like. That's what I like from my fucking horror movies, especially my slashers, where it doesn't feel cheap. But then all the kids go and hide, and there's that bit where he's like, we're dead meat. or whatever, and then he says we're definitely dead meat, and the other little kid's like, so what were you gonna be when you grew up? And I thought that was a very good line. But anyway, Tommy leads Jason to the river, and Jason's like, I'm gonna kill you, and Tommy's like, all right, and then they struggle for a bit. Tommy wraps, I guess, a chain around Jason's neck.
Tommy's whole plan was to just sink Jason to the bottom of the lake.
Yeah.
With a fucking boulder chained to,
a chain on a boulder. He was going to chain Jason to the boulder by the neck.
Yeah.
And boy, does he. And Jason, struggles a bit. Tommy almost drowns. Megan goes to save him. She's able to turn on the boat motor because Jason's getting after her. She's able to turn on the boat motor and just chops up Jason's neck. And that's how he
broke his neck too.
And that's how he gets that fucking that like break in his mask that's in part 7 and 9, but not 8. It's also in Jason X, but it's not in part 8 for some reason. But the axe mark is still there. So like, did he just get another mask and then like hack away at it to make it look like his old mask, and then he wore that, or what? I don't understand.
Because the mask was whole at the start of the movie.
Yeah, but it was chopped up in part 7. It's got that nick on it on the bottom left.
I know what you're talking about.
So, but in part 8, it's not.
I don't know.
They don't care, is what I'm saying. All right. But anyway, yeah. So then, Jason dies. Allegedly,
he's not dead. He's trapped.
He's trapped because you see his eye twitching at the end of the movie. After Tommy's like, "Oh, it's over. Jason's home. Whatever." And they go off and have a bunch of kids or whatever. But originally, the ending was going to be Jason's mask floating in the water, and it was also going to be we were also going to be introduced to Jason Voorhees' father, Elias, which to me feels a lot like Halloween 5 with the Man in Black that just kind of fucking shows up with no explanation, except this would actually have like a character attached to it, and it was going to be implied that he's the one that made sure Jason didn't get cremated, and that he was paying Martin extra to take care of Jason and Pamela's graves. And Elias wasn't going to talk either. That's the thing. But it was going to be implied that he knows that Jason's alive again. And then I guess the next movie was going to be him, I don't know, doing stuff. But Paramount was like, what the fuck are you... why would we do that? They were like, why would we introduce a new character? We're going to have to do their whole backstory. Like, no, kids don't come for that. They come for the tits and gore. So just keep it...
Yet that's what they do in the next movie.
Keep it... Is Jason's dad in the next one?
No, they make up a new character.
Oh, yeah, the new blood. Yeah, that's right. Carrie from Stephen King's Carrie. But yeah, then that's the movie. And I think it's pretty fun. I think it's a fun time at the film cinema, at the place. George, I swear to God, I need you to stop.
He's like, can't stop. Addicted.
Addicted to what, dude?
To the shindig, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I found out today?
What?
I found out Anthony Kiedis slept with like a 14-year-old when he was 23 or 24, and then he wrote a song about it.
Wow.
Rock and roll was something else back then, huh?
What the fuck?
I mean, Jimmy Page, like, fucked minors. Like, we all know this. Like, no rock star is a good person. Like, except for, I guess, maybe Eddie Vedder. But no rock star is a good person. All of them have done something bad at some point. So that's cool.
What'd Slipknot do?
I don't know. Corey probably, like, beat his wife at one point. One of his old girlfriends. Mick has probably killed at least one person. Jim, I think, is just hard to work with sometimes. Paul's dead. Joey's dead. Chris wanted more money or something.
He's petty.
Clown, I don't know. He makes movies that may or may not be good.
He definitely has bodies.
Craig definitely has bodies. That's why you don't know anything about him. And then who else? Who am I missing? Sid. Oh, he's just a special little boy. Sid is just a wonderful creature. that jumps like 50 feet and then breaks his ankle and keeps screaming the song because he's a trooper.
Both his ankles.
Yeah, he broke both of them. What the fuck? That's right. God, what a monster, dude. What a character. Anyway, yeah, there's no clean rock star. There's no clean getaways. I think famous people in general, there's no real perfect famous person because guess what? They're all people, and everybody's done something terrible at least once in their life.
Yeah, they all go to these meetings and there's fucking lizard people sitting there and shit.
Yeah, like Justin's, Justin kills puppies, so
I don't kill puppies.
That's what I've seen you do it anyway. So that's what he does in his spare time.
No.
That's how he is. That's what he does with his free time. But yeah, no, people, everybody's done something fucked up. Everybody's got skeletons in their closet, Everybody. So yeah, it's Friday the 13th. It's a fun time. Part 6.
Now everyone's gonna listen to this and hear that the last part we just talked about and go to bed all paranoid and depressed about themselves.
I mean, that says more about them than it does about me. So anyway.
Oh, is it review time?
This was the lowest grossing Friday the 13th
movie. This made the least
movie.
money?
It made $19.4 million. It was the only one to not make more than $20 million. So it was the lowest grossing. Rotten Tomatoes has an approval rating of 50% based on 30 reviews with an average rating of 5.10 out of 10. The site's critics' consensus reads, Friday the 13th, Part 6, Jason Lives, indeed brings back old Voorhees along with a sense of serviceable, brain-dead fun. On Metacritic, it has a weighted average score of 30 out of 100 based on 10 critics, indicating generally unfavorable reviews.
Oh my god.
Audiences polled by CinemaScore gave the film an average grade of B.
A B.
That's fair.
Did your dog step on it?
Wow. Variety described the film as predictable but reasonably slick.
Predictable but slick. What?
That just sounds like sex. Karen James of the New York Times called it a gory waste of time. Fuck you, dude. Citing numerous logic problems and stating that McLaughlin's injecting humor into the series, while successful, was not enough to liven up the predictability of the story. Bro really went into this movie expecting it to be logical and consistent. Have you not watched the other ones, my man? Gene Siskel of the Chicago Tribune similarly judged that while the film's self-referential humor was good enough to make it the best film in the series, it was not enough to take away from the story being essentially the same as in the previous 5 installments. He gave it 1.5 stars. Again, what do you expect? Why are you going into this movie expecting a work of art, brother? Like, come on. In a 2012 retrospective review, Ken Hankey of Mountain Express wrote that it may not be exactly a good movie in the strict sense, but it's easily the best in the series, noting that he had seen all 10 installments which had been released at the time. David Nussere said the film has probably the most effective pre-credit sequence in the entire franchise, just the sort of appreciatively ludicrous interlude that's generally been sorely missing from this pervasively dull series. However, he felt the bulk of the film, while an improvement over the previous 2 installments, suffered from tedious pacing and a lack of gore. He gave it 2 out of 4 stars, the same rating he gave to 6 out of the series' 10 installments. I will say, this is like this along with Part 4 and 5. You can tell the MPAA really had a field day with it. Because they cut this fucking movie up. And I think that's kind of lame because...
Yeah, the kills cut hard.
It's funny because, like, in the interviews, in the special features, they were like, there's stuff in horror movies now that is way worse than anything we did on Friday the 13th, like, throughout the whole franchise. And again, I always think of Bruce Campbell talking about how with Evil Dead 2 and even Army of Darkness, they had to, like, fight the MPAA on how much gore was in the movie and shit. And then he's like, we got so much pushback. He's like, then we submit Evil Dead 2013, no issues whatsoever. And that is one of the most violent movies I've ever seen in my life. And they were like, yeah, this is fine. It's good. It's all good here. All good here. And I just think that's so funny. There's a part where a woman saws her fucking arm off with an electric knife. And you see it all. And then she hits the fucking bone and screams. And, you know, that's fine. There's a part
Or the box cutter.
where Jane Levy licks a fucking blade and slits her tongue. And then talks about, and then makes reference to a vagina as smelling like as smelling like a filthy soul. And I'm just like, brother, why weren't you okay with shit like this in the 80s? Oh my God. It's so dumb. Anyway. So on IMDb, this film has a perfect 6 out of 10. Most people obviously gave it a 6. And then after that is 7, 5, 8, 10, and then, you know, it goes down from there. But yeah, so let's look at some of these user reviews.
Hell yeah.
This one says, "Of course he does.
Of course he does what?
He lives." By Aaron Capon Banner. What a name. He wrote this review almost 10 years ago to the day, September 13th, 2013.
Damn.
Almost 10 years ago to the day. Part 6 begins with Tommy Jarvis driving with a friend over to the cemetery where Jason is buried. Too bad he wasn't cremated after all, in order to dig him up to make sure he is dead. And then they put an exclamation point in parentheses. This proves to be a disastrous mistake, as a sudden storm generates a bolt of lightning that revives Jason's corpse, and after killing Tommy's friend, returns to Camp Crystal Lake to resume his murderous ways, where, of course, lots of people, from weekend warriors to summer camp counselors, await. Series went full-on supernatural in this one, as now Jason is an undead monster who can't be killed by normal means, and Tommy desperately tries to convince police that he isn't insane. Lots of humor in this one, which only cheapens an already shaky premise into self-parody, though there is at least the appropriate song "He's Back" playing at the end. Otherwise a waste. Why did you give it a 1 out of 10 then? You sound like you're indifferent. Why would you give it a 1 out of 10? You sound like you're... whatever. Oh my
I
God.
don't get how he thinks the silliness of the movie takes away from, like, stuff in it. The whole thing is fucking silly.
Oh, here we have our friend I Hate Every Movie I See again. He says, "See this movie with an asterisk. Without a doubt, Friday the 13th Part 6 is the second worst of the series.
Worst?
Next to the 9th installment, Jason Goes to Hell. What makes this film so bad is the inclusion of childlike humor into, oh my God, into the script. If you like unrealistic characters, nonsensical storylines, bad scripts, bad acting, and movies that make you think, what the? After watching them, then I would highly recommend that you see this movie. If you own this movie, it is recommended that you burn it, as selling it to someone or simply giving it to someone would be cruel." This dude, I need his brain to be studied in a lab. I Hate Every Movie I See is going to become the arch nemesis of Gore Goblins. I can already feel it.
Fuck that guy.
I can feel it. "I knew it," Mr. Six said in October 10th, 1999. "It was just too good to last." So Tommy was just having an episode at the end of the last movie, and he inadvertently brings Jason back to life in this one. Looks that way in Part 6, where Jason rises from the grave to lay waste on the teenage wasteland. I bet you he was real proud of that.
Yeah.
Paramount Pictures, Tom McLaughlin, Harry Manfredini. By the way, the score, again, is one of the best parts of the movie. And everyone else that had even passing involvement in this film should all be dragged out into the street, tied onto the bumper of a Greyhound, and driven out into the middle of the ocean. Can you tell I'm not a fan?
Jeez.
Oh my God.
Calm the fuck
You
down.
want to know the only point of interest in this entire film? Horseshack Palillo from Welcome Back Kotter gets offed. That's it. No stars. What a big, huge, elephantine waste of time. Jason, buddy, you should have stayed down. Wow, that dude was. I don't. Have I ever been that bad at something where I'm like, the person who made this should fucking die? I don't think I have. At least not recently.
No.
"Please stop," says Glue Stick. Also from 1999. "I wish the makers of this movie could have would something else to make.
Could have would something else to make.
What kind of franchise is this? 9 sequels? Please. This movie still offers nothing new but the same old crap. Jason, of course, lives and kills. The end does seem to be the end of this trash, but it's not. Great fake, huh? You've got to wonder how someone could take all that pain. I would have butted out and called it even. The producers didn't think that was a good idea. If you want my advice, just watch Friday the 13th, the final chapter. Try to say to yourself, it's the last movie. Friday the 13th, part 6, Jason Lives. F.
Your review gets an F.
Oh, my God. Oh my dude, this dude wrote a whole ass paragraph or a whole ass fucking essay. Techboy776 says Tommy has Jason forgotten. At the end of part 5, Tommy succumbs to his delusions of Jason while in the hospital after killing Roy and rescuing Raggy, Reggie, and Pam. I wouldn't say he succumbs. I think he was always fucking crazy because he makes Jason go away. Like, that's the thing. That's what that sequence was supposed to be, is he forgets about Jason. During this scene, his hallucinations return, and then he makes him go. And the final shot in the film is of Tommy in Jason's mask. Not Jason's mask. Roy's mask. About to stab Pam with the kitchen knife while she looks out a broken hospital window. When I saw that ending, I thought, well, okay, Jason has become Tommy now. But the moment I started watching this film, it was as though part 5 had been completely forgotten. Good! Tommy is even back in the state asylum, which he had been transferred out of. What? No, he's not.
No, he's not.
These films started to go downhill after part 4, and all of its wonderful cinematography, gore, and setup. Okay. He's in the can draining his lizard, says the old guy from Halloween 3. Tom Atkins? Which old guy are we talking about? There's a lot of old guys in that movie. There's Tom Atkins. There's Dick Warlock. There's the old guy that explodes at the end. Jennifer Cook is the best final girl in the series. Is she really a final girl, though? Gorgeous and funny as hell with a great personality. She's the kind of girl you want to marry. Hold on. The black girl is also hot as hell. I like how he goes out of his way to say the name of Jennifer Cook, but the black girl, he couldn't fucking be bothered to look on IMDb to see what her name was? Oh my God. God, I love casual racism. Anyway, there's also a funny chick with Tony Goldwyn. Who the fuck is Tony Goldwyn? Who says things like, that's a freaking fact, and a colorful gravedigger who drinks on the job. Overall, a pretty dumb movie. I gave this 1 out of 10, by the way. Overall, a pretty dumb movie where Jason gets brought back to life by lightning after 10 years in the ground, and then in parentheses, police. All right. The actor who plays the sheriff, and especially the guy playing his deputy, are real hams saddled with ridiculous dialogue. Hit the noise and cherries. Then he puts in parentheses, groan. Tommy Jarvis does really dumb things in this movie, but at least he gets the girl. Thank you, the old guy from Halloween 3. I have to say that I would love to study your brain one day. I hope you're listening to this. Okay, and then we got, Yosef Benzer says, in all caps, the worst Friday movie after part 7. A bad and overrated sequel. If you like the first 4 movies, I don't recommend this for you. It's legit so stupid.
What?
That's what he said. All in one sentence, too. Yeah, that's a hell of a road-on.
So 7 is his next worst movie.
Yeah. Let's see if we can find any short 10-star reviews. I want to see the other side of the spectrum. The best Friday the 13th, says Tam Perry's.
Nice.
In my opinion, this was the best Friday the 13th movie. I remember being a kid watching this movie, and I highly enjoyed the scares, kills, and women, LOL. Now as an adult watching this movie, I still enjoy it the same. 4 out of 4 found this review helpful.
Nice.
Thank you.
What a champion.
What a champ. What a people you see fucking short and to the point. He's like, yeah, I like this movie. I don't give a fuck if you don't. All right.
He's like the kind of people that make 10-minute class descriptions on Warcraft instead of like 35-hour-long videos to describe one fucking character.
He's simple and to the point. An average installment says Duzniak38, who gave this film a 10 out of 10, despite it being an average installment. Friday the 13th, Part 6, Jason Lives, is a good installment, which goes back to the roots of what the Friday the 13th series is all about. However, this is so similar to some of the predecessors that it practically recycles parts of the story and plot. That aside, Friday the 13th Part 6 does deliver the gory goods and also provides plenty of black humor, which opens instantly with a James Bond parody in the opening credits. Inventine gore and death is once again present in this sequel, ranging from a triple decapitation to somebody's head being smashed into the metal side of an RV. Part 6 does contain some of the least interesting characters out of the series, in my opinion, save the paintballers maybe. Oh my god. Scenes alternates from where they take place, the woods, the lake, the cabins, in a motorhome, in broad daylight and in the dark. What? This variation provides interest because we see and feel that Jason can still get you in the middle of the day. The script is what you would expect, pretty average. The acting is on good form, especially from Jennifer Cook. Jason does indeed live, but this premise certainly isn't the most liveliest. He was proud of that one. He was proud of that last line. I could feel it. All right. A film to live by? Jesus. All right.
Film to live by? Whoa. What exactly are you living by from this film?
See. Ha! I wish this was all I had to write about this film because those two words explain the film thoroughly. This is a hilarious comedy under the charade of a horror disguise.
Okay.
After the mess that was The New Beginning, Jason had to evolve if he was to survive in the late 80s, and a comedy was the best way to ensure this. All of the horror element beats are replaced with side-splitting punchlines. Tom McLaughlin knew exactly what he was doing. Seeing his previous horror effort, One Dark Night, shows that he can mix comedy and splatter together in a refined meeting of greatness. This film is one of the best in the series just because it's different. All the films before this and after take themselves seriously, but this does not, and it is magic. I would be afraid to see what a director would do with this style today. Watch Scream, dude. You wrote this in 2006. What the fuck? They would probably take an opportunity to make fun of the fans. That's what they do in this movie. What are you Ooh! But when this was made, it was chance for the fans to laugh with the film, not to be laughed at, and that is what studios are missing today. Only a couple of the scary movie films have marginally reached what this film did in black comedy. I love this movie, and I love the guy who plays Jason in it. C.J. Graham is a master in the suit, though not the best. Kane Hodder holds that title. Graham still rocks the man behind the mask out in this installment. I hope he returns to the role someday. The music in this one is the best in the series. Alice Cooper did the soundtrack, and his theme song, The Man Behind the Mask, is the standard by which all other Jason soundtracks should be judged. Watch this movie, you will love it. My brother, the theme for Friday the 13th Part 3 exists, and you're going to say that Man Behind the Mask is... I'm going to read the lyrics to Man Behind the Mask after this, actually. Let me see, what else? The ultimate Jason film by Hurricane Daddy. Jason lives in the most self-aware, comical, and symbolic film in the Friday the 13th franchise, and that's a great thing. It's just fun from beginning to end. The Frankenstein homage in the graveyard to the James Bond title sequence to the gravedigger breaking the fourth wall to say, why'd they dig Jason up? Some folks have a strange idea of entertainment. It's just great. Tommy Jarvis hunting Jason is fun. He's the only thing in the movie that plays like there are real stakes. The rest is all satire. I mean, there's a kid at the camp that fell asleep reading a Jean-Paul Sartre paperback. That is true, the No Exit. And one character tries to pay Jason even though he just killed someone right in front of her. The movie just oozes meta horror, and it did it well before Scream popularized the meta horror genre. I watch this movie about twice a year because it is so entertaining, a perfect 10. 2 out of 2 found this review helpful. So that's good. Glad that could happen.
Yeah.
Best of the entire series, Nuff Said, says If It Rocks.
If it rocks.
Where could I even start with this one? First of all, the graveyard resurrection scene was amazing. If you don't think the lightning reanimation was one of the best moments in cinema history, then you have problems. I mean, Just add these elements. Super hot Jennifer Cook. I was 8 years old when this movie came out, and you can safely say she made puberty start a little early that year. My guy, I didn't need to fucking know that. I did not need to know about you fucking getting bricked up to this movie, all right? I didn't need to fucking know that. God damn it, dude.
It's his favorite. He's got to express how much he loves it.
A beefed up 1977 stirrup shifted Camaro, need I say more? Actors who could actually get this act, an amazing concept for this type of film. A great ending, the fiery lake was rocking. And an RV with a chrome shifter blaring out Alice Cooper. If that's not enough to make you want to see this gem, then I have nothing more to say to you. 2 of 2 found this review helpful. Yeah, this dude's definitely from the 70s. The sequel that Jason is back from the grave, says our friend JP91. I think we've seen him before. The 5 first films gave us a common human killer with big physical strength. This time, Jason is back from the grave, the first supernatural slasher of the franchise. The script is good enough. A children camp. Oh my god. A children camp.
Children.
A children camp, some teens around, Tommy Jarvis trying to stop Jason, police involved in gory scenes, a funny sequel with some new twist mixed with more of the same, highly entertaining film.
This dude was dying while he was typing this.
Thank you, JP91. That's a great review. Oh my god. The best F-13 sequel to date, says Nick Machalik, which I think we've also seen before. He wrote this in 98. Wow. In my honest opinion, this is the best sequel to date. Tommy is the best in this one because he's not some weakling geek like in the past. That picked up real quick. God damn.
So fuck you.
Oh my god. This one has a great storyline, some good death scenes, and some cool special effects for Jason's return from the dead. CJ Graham plays one of the best Jasons and is right up there with Kane Hodder. Plus, the songs from Alice Cooper makes this a great one overall. Everyone likes that fucking shit. I cannot wait to read the lyrics to Man Behind the Mask. Although the death scenes may not as elaborate as those in some others, this one is a good one overall. And it's good at the end to show that he's still alive, so to speak. Long live the man behind the mask, Jason and the song. Thanks, bud. Part 6 is scarier than the first 5, says Jacob John Taylor 1. My man's got 3 first names. This is a very scary movie. It is scarier than the first 5 Friday the 13th movies. It is one of the scariest movies made before 1998.
What?
There are scarier movies. Friday the 13th. 7, The New Blood is scarier. Friday the 13th. 8, Jason Takes Manhattan is also scarier. Jason Goes to Hell, the final Friday, is also scarier, but still it's a very scary movie. It has a great storyline, great acting, great special effects. If you like scary movies, then you will like this movie. Jason is a zombie, so I consider this horror fantasy. It is a great soundtrack. The soundtrack was made by Alice Cooper, so it has to be good. This movie. This movie. It is a great movie. Very scary. Oh my dude, this is like when you were like in 4th or 5th grade and you had to write an essay and you just like fucking kept saying the same thing over and over again because you were trying to pad it out. Oh my god. I'm so glad I started doing this shit. My absolute favorite of the entire Friday the 13th franchise, says Pumpkin_man. This is one of the best and one of my favorite Friday the 13th movies. It's different. It's funny. Has a car chase. Gothic and a tribute to 40s, 50s classic horror films. It's not just horny teenagers in an abandoned house and Jason happens to show up and kill them, which about 4 sequels are. Tommy Jarvis wants to make sure Jason is dead, pretend 5 never happened. Him and a friend go to the cemetery to make sure, but Tommy accidentally brings Jason back to life. This is the one where Jason becomes more of a zombie and walks instead of running. Tommy gets thrown in jail, and the sheriff's daughter, Megan, begins to have a crush on Tommy. Camp Crystal Lake has been renamed to Forest Green because no one wants to remember about Jason. Later, Megan helps Tommy break out of jail so he can go to Crystal Lake and stop Jason once and for all. I highly recommend Friday the 13th, Part 6, Jason Lives. My man tried to write a blurb for the back of the Blu-ray case and accidentally uploaded it to IMDb. Oh my god. Excellent horror film of its time. 10 out of 10. Says Django Fett 11189. This movie is an excellent progression for Jason. If you were to put all the films together and watch them all up to this point, none of them lead up to the real Jason Voorhees that everyone knows. Machete, lethal, huge, and not able to die. This movie is the start of Jason's for say renewal as the king of the hockey mask himself. It wouldn't be the same if everyone were to watch Freddy vs. Jason and then go and rent Friday the 13th because it's not the same Jason that they think of. This film portrays Jason and basically casts his shadow on the true lethal hockey mask slasher Jason Voorhees. The only thing that made me mad is at the end of a New Beginning. What? This isn't okay. A New Beginning. That's the last one. Okay. I thought he was talking about Part 7. The only thing that made me mad is at the end of A New Beginning, Tommy looks like he kills the counselor, and in this movie he talks and is like a good boy. What happened? I thought that Tommy was gonna be the new Jason or something, but no way, Jose. They had to bring Jason back, and I'm happy they did because I missed him. Didn't you? Long live Jason Voorhees. That's the type of dude that has like a Charles Manson T-shirt, and he like has like pictures of like Jeffrey Dahmer on his wall. That's that kind of guy. One of the best in the series and by far one of my favorite movies says BTL HGO 5972. Jason Lives is by far one of the best in the series. Tom McLaughlin brings an interesting direction to the film, and unlike Jason X, he stays true to the fans and all that is great about Friday the 13th. What do you mean, unlike Jason X? What? Who are you? I'm sorry. Is this some Jason X slander? Is this some Jason X slander on the timeline?
Yeah,
Come on.
why are you going to slander?
Fuck off. Anyway, and I've been a friend of the Friday films since I could walk. And this was the first one I saw and is just as good as the first 4 films. And in my book, this and the whole other parts of the series are my favorite movies of all time. Oh, and if you like the Friday the 13th films, you might want to check out these other great horror titles. Phantasm, solid. Nightmare on Elm Street, solid. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, solid. Evil Dead and Saw, both solid. And if you liked my comment, check out what I have to say about many other great horror films. Can't wait to see this guy pop up again. Oh my god. Next to the epic... Oh, I'm sorry. Justin, this is going to make you mad. Next to the epic Friday the 13th Part 3. This is one of the better entries in the Friday epic. Next to the epic Friday the 13th Part 3, okay, he just repeats the title. The producers had to improve on Part 5, so they traded in some of the grue of the earlier sequels.
I guess he meant crew.
I think he meant gore.
Or gore, yeah.
And concentrated on laughs and well-placed sight gags. The action takes place sometime after Part 5 as Tommy escapes from the institution and digs up the rotting corpse of Jason Voorhees. Guess what happens next? No need to answer as old Jay goes on a rampage, the likes of which this series has never seen before or since. Also, Jason is no longer in the shadows of Camp Crystal Lake. He has allowed a lot of screen time and is given a personality complete with head twitches and gestures, something that would be improved and expanded upon by Kane Hodder and future Friday installments. A good way to spend a rainy day or a dark night in front of the TV. Now go rent.
Now go rent.
Why don't you just buy it? The best F-13 film to date says Pork Chop Express. I feel like we've seen him before. Jason Lives is the best Jason movie to date. This one has it all. The best script, dialogue, characters, and music. Most of the songs are performed by the Shockmaster himself, Alice Cooper. The movie picks up years after Part 5, where an older Tommy Jarvis goes to the cemetery that Jason is buried at, wants to see with his own eyes that Jason is truly dead, but an accident happens, and Jason comes back to life again. Tommy tries to warn the local sheriff with no luck, so he must stop Jason. The movie returns to the camp environment where the film had strayed away from. The movie is strong from start to finish, and you won't be disappointed. Thank you, dude. Fucking great. Not the best, but second, says F. Justice. This is a good Friday the 13th. It is not the best, but it is the second best in the series. The first being Part 8. That's a hot take if I've ever fucking seen one. C.J. Graham was a awful Jason.
What's wrong with Manhattan?
C.J. Graham was a awful Jason. Tommy was okay. This is still a good movie, but I wouldn't recommend it highly. He gave it a 10 out of 10. I need to stress that he gave this a 10 out of 10.
Wait, what's wrong with Manhattan?
A lot of people don't like Manhattan for some reason.
It's fine. There's nothing wrong with it.
I'm sure we'll talk about that when we get to
when
it.
we get to it.
Awesome says, is cream.
Is cream.
Oh, ice cream. Okay, 22. Okay, I was like, what the fuck is this? Ice cream 22. One of the better Friday the 13th movies. Some counselors hang out in a summer camp until Tommy Jarvis, Corey Feldman in Part 4, says that Jason is alive. No one believes him, not even the police. There are also some funny parts in the movie. Rated R for strong violence and language.
Why did he write that?
Why did he put that? Brother, you're on IMDb. A real treat. The best Friday sequel made. By Real Entertainment, written the day before 9/11. My man wrote this review and then woke up to the worst day in American history the following day. Oh man, I hope he wasn't in New York. Okay, what makes this movie so good is its mixture of action, comedy, horror, and yes, even romance. It has it all. This is why this is the best Jason movie since the first one. A grown-up Tommy Jarvis who has been mentally messed up by Jason goes to his gravesite to see if the Big J is actually dead. The Big J? Oh, what happens is a disaster. When Jason is brought back to life, he begins his reign of terror on the familiar grounds of Camp Crystal Lake, now renamed Camp Forest Green. But it's all the same to the hockey masked killer. A great movie from start to finish, plus a great 80s soundtrack featuring several tunes from shock rock king Alice Cooper. Rent it today. As of 9/25/01, this classic comes to DVD. Oh, okay, so he was like, oh my god. What a time capsule, dude. This man could have died on 9/11. This could have been the last thing he did before 9/11. That is insane. That is fucking insane.
God.
He's alive, says Ross Robinson.
Ross Robinson.
Friday the 13th, Part 6, Jason Lives, I think wasn't a bad movie. We've got the answer, and yes, Jason is alive, but how that happened was that Jarvis accidentally brought him back to life. So here we go again, a 6th round, and this time Jarvis has to kill him again. I give this movie 10 out of 10. Amazing. Amazing. Possibly the best of the series, says Barank49790. This is such a big improvement over the previous 5 entries and honestly better than a lot of the films that came after it. So IMO, it's one of the best films in the entire franchise. Full of great direction, great characters, and a very great Jason. I would strongly recommend. Best Friday the 13th ever, says Snake of Enix. I had a fun watch it. It never gets old and has a great cast and some fun aspects, and had funny moments and balances its humor.
Okay.
10 out of 10 as far as horror movies go, says B. Hester 0806. I have been watching Friday the 13th movies in order, and so far Jason Lives is the clear-cut best. It does everything right the others did, and it improves places they fell short. This is the first movie you really get some great hockey mask Jason screen time, something the other movies besides the first one obviously lacked.
Yep.
Oh my god. The first film in the franchise to feature a song by a pop artist, says Justin Fanksack. I know we've seen him before.
Fanksack.
When most people think of this movie, they think of the song He's Back, The Man Behind the Mask by Alice Cooper, as well as the stereo surround track. A first in the series, as well as a modest budget and great effects it shows. Okay. What a review that was.
Yeah. True. Insight.
I don't know, man. I don't think about Alice Cooper when I think about this movie. I didn't even.
Yeah,
I knew it was him, but I was like, what the fuck?
I don't even really like Alice Cooper.
Nah, yeah, me either. I'm not crazy about him.
I can't even think of any songs.
Just School's Out.
Oh.
One of the best sequels, says they killed the Giggler.
The Giggler.
Part 6 in the series was pretty good, and it has Tom Matthews in it, who was awesome in Return of the Living Dead. This is the first Friday film in which Jason is a supernatural zombie, and nothing seems to affect him. Part 6 is a lot better than most sequels in the series. This Friday film actually has some okay acting in it and has some god scares. See, it's funny because I know he meant good scares, but there is religion in this one, so there definitely was some god scares. Sit back and enjoy. Overall, 8 out of 10. I just want to say for the record, he rated this a 10 out of 10, but in his review he said an 8 out of 10. I just want that to go on the record. I think that's important to show the duality of man. You know.
You're so dumb.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Great, says Mike842. I loved this sequel. This was in 2000. I loved this sequel. It's the best of the Friday the 13th series. It has lots of comic relief, good humor scenes, or good horror scenes, likable characters, self-referential humor, and Alice Cooper music. This movie rules. I hope Jason X will turn out like this one rather than something like Friday the 13th Part 4. Very boring and stupid. What? First of all, I can't wait to read this man's review on Jason X. I have a feeling it's either going to be a 1 or a 10, and I cannot fucking wait. I cannot fucking wait. I can't wait. I can't wait. I can't wait.
Oh.
Here's a straight to the point one. Most entertaining slasher film, says Dean Drelljet. Best and fun Friday the 13th movie ever made, period.
Ever made, period.
Ever made, period. Amazing, dude. Amazing.
Amazing.
Well, that was fun.
Is it? It was.
That's all we have to say about Friday the 13th Part 6, Jason Lives.
Yeah. It's, for me, been the best movie of the series so far.
It is a very good Friday the 13th movie. Yes, I will second that. It is a good time. I enjoy it quite a bit.
Yep.
And next week,
it only gets better.
We get to talk about what's probably the best Nightmare on Elm Street movie.
No, it's not.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, because you know what is the best? Freddy's Dead.
All right, so next week it's going to be Kale here instead of Justin.
Wow.
I'm officially removing Justin from the podcast. So it's just going to be me and Kale bullshitting.
You can't replace me.
Of course I can. Anyway, so next week is Dream Warriors.
Dream Warriors.
Which last time I did a run through of Nightmare on Elm Street, it was my favorite. I really like it. I think similar to how Jason Lives is where we finally get the Jason that we all know and love. I feel like Part 3 of Nightmare on Elm Street is where we get the Freddy that we all think of when we think of Freddy Krueger. I mean, he was already kind of like that in the first and second one, but like this is where you get like some of the more iconic lines and Robert Englund just, you can't replace him.
Nope.
Jason, though, fuck him. You can replace him all you want. Evidently, he's never been played by the same person twice until Kane Hodder. So, and not until Kane Hodder. But that's Jason Lives.
Yep.
We hope you enjoyed this program that we produced for you.
It's educational program.
Follow us on Facebook.
Yeah.
Follow us on YouTube.
Yeah.
Listen to us wherever you get your podcasts from.
Anywhere.
Just to, have a good time.
Sometimes.
Yeah. It's a good time. Jason Lives. Good movie. We recommend it. It's probably the best one in the franchise. I don't think it's my favorite still. I really think 2, 4, and 6 are all just kind of tied together. But I might surprise myself.
Yeah, you won't be saying that after you watch Jason Takes Manhattan. Because that'll be your number 1.
All right, what if it isn't, though?
Then the remake will be your number 1.
Maybe.
I really like the remake.
Well, shit, we'll find out. See, but I think the reason we like the remakes so much is because those came out now. So, like, You know,
Well,
like
to me, watching that remake is like watching Rob Zombie's Halloween.
in what way?
I don't know. I just get the same feeling that the movies give off from each other.
I guess I'll find out because
Like how,
Rob Zombie's Halloween feels a lot like
how that's
like a
all,
grindhouse movie.
Yeah, like how it's all in your face and shit. I don't know. I kind of felt that way about the Friday remake when I watched
we'll
it.
see. We'll see. We'll
Yeah,
talk about it.
We'll get there.
No, but Nightmare on Elm Street remake definitely doesn't give that vibe.
Yeah, fuck that movie.
Evil Dead's remake is very good, so I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I've found that I like the remakes a lot, so we'll see.
We'll see.
But not before all these other fucking movies.
Yeah.
So Dream Warriors is next. Can't wait to watch Dream Warriors. It's a good. I'm sure it is good. I'm not gonna say it. I'm sure it's good. I know it's good. It's Dream Warriors. So we'll see you next time
Yep.
on Gore Goblins.
Yeah.
The goriest podcast this side of
Goblin Town. Yeah.
I guess a Goblin Town. That's
That's what-
fine. I can live with that. That is better than Halloween Town. I don't know. Fucking certified hood classic movie right there. Halloween Town.
Yeah.
I watched it when I was little and I don't remember a fucking thing about it. I don't remember anything about it. But anyway, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what we got. So bye-bye, everybody.
Goodbye.
Go get some sleep.
Or something.
Go sleepy time. Woohoo, yeah.
Woo,
Woo,
yeah,
yeah.